Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. My name's Deshaun and today I'm here to give you my full review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5. Now Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I've probably talked about before, is a show that I adore. Along with it, this show is like, it's the little engine that could to me. The show, because I'm so proud of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I honestly am. In the beginning, Season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was rough. It was really rough. I couldn't defend it at all. I didn't finish Season 1. It was rough. But I had heard things about Season 2, but if you know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. turned around after Winter Soldier. It became a much better show. Characters who weren't interesting became interesting. And then I started getting back into the show in season 2, and then I started to really get invested in all the characters and the new characters and whatnot. And then obviously in Season 4, they introduced Ghost Rider, Robbie Reyes, in a badass, awesome way. It was spectacular. And that season was great. And at the end of Season 4, it ends with everyone except for Fitz being kidnapped by a random thing, which is revealed later on to have been I think he's a robot. He says he's a Chromicon. I don't know. It's weird. What's his name? I can't remember his name, but he's weird. But they got kidnapped by these guys, sent to the future, and in the future, this is the beginning of the season, by the way, so full spoilers if you haven't seen it. In the future, Earth is destroyed. Mankind is only alive because of, one, Earth was destroyed by gravitonium, which, in the Marvel, there's a thing called gravitonium. It's basically just keeps shit together. It's like defies the laws of reality. No one knows what the fuck it really is. But Earth is kept together by gravitonium, or like pieces of Earth are kept together by gravitonium, which is why people can even remotely live on Earth. But the most people are stuck in this thing called the lighthouse. And as is revealed later what the lighthouse is, but for now I'll just let you know that mankind is like caught in this bunker called the White House, this space bunker called the White House, and they're all being kept together like cattle by a Kree, a Kree called Cassius. And his father is like a big wig in the Kree Empire, and apparently Cassius is fucked up, and his father sent him to Earth to pretty much scrounge the remains of Earth. No one knows why Earth was destroyed. No one knows why they were sent to the future. No one knows what happened. No one knows, and it's this huge mystery for the first half of the season of, they're in the future, they're on this, kind of hell place, this kind of apocalypse event, where man are being cattled. Cassius is a bad, evil dude. And he has his complexities to him when it's kind of revealed later on through Season 1 that Cassius, who is the Kree, who is this head big bad Kree, who's been, keeping all these humans, docile, and, he makes them kill each other to, herd out the thing. He doesn't let humans have children. It's nuts. They're just, controlling the human race's entire existence. And he was sent out there by his father after he fucked up. And, it's kind of revealed, how his entire Kree family is fucked up. But, which could be just a allegory for the entire Kree race being kind of fucked up. Because, the Kree so far in the MCU, you haven't seen a good Kree. Let's see, you see Ronan from Guardians, and he just, Ronan, he just murdered a bunch of people and tried to murder fucking the Guardians and tried to just genocide the entire planet. Then you got these two Kree who showed up who are hunters and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. about, I'd say 2 seasons ago, when they had to take them down. The Kree created the Inhumans because they came here and experimenting on people to help out in a battle, which I think is alluding to the Kree-Skrull War, but they didn't just straight out come and say it. So it's kind of funny looking back at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and realizing that they were teasing that Kree-Skrull War before Marvel had even announced that they were going to do it for Captain Marvel. So that's kind of that's kind of cool. But the Kree really haven't been good. So go figure that the Kree are doing this. So let's get to the chase. Our people land on this raft. They land on it, just land right in the middle of it. They don't know what's going on. Coulson doesn't know what's going on. There's these creatures running around called I think they call them bugs, but they're like these, they kind of look like those things from Pitch Black, like these just bug looking things that can just eat a man alive. It was gnarly. And like, but eventually, like, as the group kind of discovers each other and kind of, get themselves together, they realize, like, how do we get here? How are we going to get off this place? There's this discussion about, and on this episode, there's this, like, they discover the truth. They discover that maybe Daisy was the reason that the Earth was destroyed in the first place. Yo-Yo runs into a older version of herself who does not have her arms, who Cassius, which by the way, Cassius can do this, well, only to humans, apparently, because I guess humans' physiology is just not really that big of a deal. But, like, Cassius keeps her alive to torture her. And, like, Yo-Yo meets another version of herself that really messes her up, because the other version of herself are going, nothing you do will change the events that happens. It's like this kind of Terminator thing, kind of going with, like, you guys see the future, nothing can stop this from happening. And it's nuts. But, as it turns out, too, Cassius was like, he's been experimenting. He does this thing where he figured out about the Inhumans, and he's been experimenting on every human every once in a while to see who's an Inhuman, and then selling them to the highest bidder in the galaxy, just selling them off. And of course, eventually he discovers that Daisy is an Inhuman, and he attempts an Inhuman. Not just any Inhuman, because in this world, everyone is super convinced that Daisy Johnson is the reason, aka Quake, is the reason that the world was blown up. Everyone is convinced of that, like, legit. Like, and they do it so much that they tried to convince me for a little bit. Everyone is super convinced that she's the reason the Earth blew up. So, you kind of go through that for a little bit of the season of her being kind of guilty about something she hasn't even done yet. And then you run into this guy named Deke. Now, Deke is an amazing addition to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's hilarious. He's kind of got this Star-Lord vibe going where he's kind of an idiot, but he's a smart guy. You know what I mean? He's that clever Han Solo-ish Star-Lord kind of thing where he's kind of a bumbling buffoon, but at the same time, he's really clever, he's really smart, and he's just really handy. He knows what to do. He knows how to survive. And that's Deke. He's a survivor, and I love that about Deke. And through the course of the show, like, Deke, his positions waver until he finds out that his father is still alive, and, wow. Wasn't alive, but he thought his father was alive, and then he starts to help the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He kind of creates a bond with them to the point where they try to help him, and then it's discovered that the how they got sent there was by these things called the Chromicons. And the Chromicons are these super advanced alien race that are barely even human. They're more technology than human. Basically, they're a bunch of brainiacs, because they're barely even organic. They have organic parts, but they're barely organic. They're just technology. Who watch over Earth, who's been watching over Earth for thousands of years, just observing. So basically, they're the Watchers, and they're the Watchers. And apparently, they saw something was coming. They saw something was bad in the future. So they sent the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back to the past to prevent any worse things from happening, and to discover a way to stop it from happening. So that's what happened. And like I told you, everyone but Fitz got sent to the future. Fitz was just on Earth, just knocked out. Everyone was gone to the future. And Fitz, with the help of oh damn it, how I forget his name? Ooh, with the help of that British guy, he's hilarious. With the help of why am I forgetting his name? I love that guy. He's been off the show for a bit because they got kind of written off. But with the help of a friend, with the help of a fellow agent, a former agent, manages to break away by this woman named I want to say Waller, but she's kind of basically Amanda Waller. That's basically what she is. She's not worth remembering her name. She's got an interesting thing going, but like that's like later down the line. But like, yeah, he breaks away from her. And then he meets up with that Chromicon guy again, and the Chromicon guy explains it to him, and then they come to the conclusion that the only way he can help them is if he gets in cryo sleep and just waits until the moment they show up, and then go on the ship, which is what he did. Him and Fitz came up with this elaborate plan where Fitz would wake up hundreds of years later, when the moment that his friends got sent to the future. He'd be thawed out, he'd get a new identity and whatnot, and he'd infiltrate the lighthouse to try to save them. And that's what happened. And Fitz tapped into that dark Fitz that he had in the framework. There was another Fitz in the framework who fans coined as Fritz. and Fritz, and he was kind of like this darker version of Fritz. He was like this flip version of Fritz and Fitz, and Fitz kind of like delved into that to really sell the whole he's this badass alien killing motherfucker thing, and it worked out. Long story short, they eventually they find out that the same rock used to send Gemma in season 3. The same rock used to send Gemma to another fucking dimension. It's the same. They use a rock exactly like that to send them to a different time. Apparently, each rock, there's like 4 or 5 rocks, and each of them do something totally different. One sends you to the future, one sends you to another world, one sends you. It's weird. They're like basically like reality stones almost. I know what they're doing. They're rune stones. Because like they didn't say it, but they are rune stones. I can tell. But long story short, they figure out a way to get the hell out of there. They figure out they kill Cassius. They figure out a way to get the fuck out of there. They save all the people on the lighthouse. So now the humans control the lighthouse when they left. And my boy and Deke tagged along for the ride when they shot back into the future. But funny thing is they shot back into the future, but they just shot back to the present of the lighthouse because the lighthouse was still there. They just shot back into the future, so they were still in the lighthouse. So that is the first half of the season right there. 11 minutes. Because there's a lot to pack in. That's the first half of the season. Now, for the next half of the season, it's less about the future. It's more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. based stuff. And that woman, I can't remember her name, but she's a lot like Amanda Waller. As it turns out, she is the last, her daughter, and a couple others are the last true Hydra. Hydra's basically on the break. And it's just her and a couple other people. And like she's still she's hunting them, and you kind of think it's stereotypical Hydra stuff. Her daughter turns out she's a bad motherfucker, and she like cuts Yo-Yo's arms off, which was gnarly because she's just nuts. Like her daughter's just insane. And as it turns out, like the more the story goes through, second half, it turns out she grew up. And that same, and like Hydra, like it kind of goes. I love this. I can't remember which episode it is in the second half, but there's an episode where like it shows like that Amanda Waller like chick. I can't remember her name off the top of my head because she really just didn't have anything that really. Nothing about her was stand out. Only thing good stand out about her is her past, but like that wasn't enough for me to remember her name. But it showed her past, her growing up in the Hydra camp, and like. You realize that Hydra, like, they brainwash these kids from a young age. You see Sitwell, the guy with the glasses who in Winter Soldier turned out was a fucking Hydra agent and, got thrown into a fucking truck. That's Sitwell. You see Sitwell. You even see Von Strucker. And if you wonder who Von Strucker is, 1, he's a big character in the comic books. 2, he's the one in Avenger Age of Ultron who created Scarlet Witch and Vision. He's the one with the little one thing on his eye. The one who was experimenting with the Mind Stone in the beginning of Avengers Age of Ultron. That's Strucker. And like so you see Strucker, you see him, you see another character. They allude to a couple of a couple projects that will happen down the line, like Absorbing Man. It's an interesting dip into the past of the MCU. They talk about so much, and it was a cool episode. And then you see her on that Amanda Waller like chick, and she's like top of her class. She's one of the best. And they want to experience, and like, if she does all this hard work so that she can get on a project that she wants to work on. I think she wants to work on the Super Soldier project. She wants to work on that. She like, for Hell Hydra. She's like so into this, on for this cause. And then out of the blue, they're just like, well, yeah, we want you to work on the Super Soldier project, but we don't want you to work on it. We want to impregnate you with a advanced, like, enhanced person. Impregnate the egg in you, and we want you to birth our future, the future of Hydra. And like she's trying to get out of that, and the dude kind of like, man, you realize right that Hydra, man, they're just, you don't want to be in it. Just put it that way. But long story short, that's why her daughter's so badass, because she's not normal. She was forced upon her. I'm sure she didn't tell her that. Well, she didn't tell her that, so, that never came up as a dramatic point. But, yeah, so it turns out, and you got this whole thing going where they're trying to stop her, she's trying to stop her. It's typical Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff. Then all of a sudden, she captures Coulson. Then all of a sudden it's revealed Coulson is dying. Yes, apparently in season 4, like if you recall in season 4 when before Coulson accepted the Ghost Rider into himself, he said it's gonna come at a cost, and that cost was apparently whatever the shit they did to him. Because in season, I believe 2, they explained that Nick Fury didn't want Coulson to die, so he like used this weird ass Kree technology and brought him back to life. He like fused his DNA with Kree technology, and whatever was keeping him alive, the Ghost Rider just burnt it all, just from being inside of Coulson. And well, that resulted in Coulson's back to he's slowly dying. He's slowly dying. His heart slowly failing. Coulson is dying, and everyone's like, we gotta find a way to save him. Except for Yo-Yo, who. The last words that the future her said to herself was, "Trying to save Coulson will lead to the end of the world." So Yo-Yo's all like, kind of like, maybe we shouldn't save him, and everyone's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then you got Fitz and Simmons, who are totally losing their shit because Fitz loses his shit and thinks he's seeing the framework version of himself. Turns out he's not seeing the framework version of himself. He's just got a split fucking personality, and it turns out he's got it's always in him to be that evil. And you got Gemma going around telling people, "Oh, well, we're invincible because we can't die because we're invincible because we live to the future." And it's like, whoa, huh? And things just get out of hand. You got this turmoil between the group because everyone wants to save Coulson, and Coulson forces the leadership position onto Daisy, and Daisy's like, "I'm not ready for this shit." You got May and Coulson finally admitting that they love each other, and finally, later on, kissing. Gemma and Fitz finally get married in the midst of all this stuff. In the 100th episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they get married. Past characters come back. It's insane. Like, the second half of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was just insane. But you got, and then eventually Coulson gets kidnapped by that Amanda Waller woman, and she explains to him the reason that she's doing all this is because she's been in contact with these aliens called the Federation, this group of aliens called the Federation, and there's a great threat coming, and that they want to protect Earth from it, so they have to work hand in hand with them so that they can protect Earth. Coulson, and like right for a split second there, Coulson and her were on the same page. They were like, "Yeah, we gotta protect Earth. Yeah, that's the most important thing. Screw all this Hydra versus S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff. We gotta protect Earth." But then, like, when she said that she's working on a project called the Destroyer of Worlds, it sounds familiar because that's what Daisy was called. And she was like, "I'm gonna put my daughter into this machine, and she's gonna become the Destroyer of Worlds." Well, actually, she doesn't want to put her daughter in the machine. She wants to put Daisy in the machine because she thinks her daughter isn't ready for it. And needless to say, Coulson flips out and goes, no, we can't do that. Hubba, she kind of shuts down on Coulson. Turns out, too, that she had kidnapped Talbot to get him to tell him where her shield was and been torturing Talbot. Then she brought on Absorbing Man Creel, and it's cool to see him again to help screw with S.H.I.E.L.D. So it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see all these characters come back. Eventually, Coulson discovers Talbot. Talbot's all screwed up. He's like, he's straight up World War II, like, Nimbers, like, screwed up. And, like, eventually they get out. You get this cool battle between Daisy and Ruby. That's her daughter named Ruby. You get this cool battle between Daisy and Ruby. You get this cool, Coulson gets away with, Talbot. But Talbot's messed up. And, like, they call the station... They call the lighthouse and, like, say a word to Talbot, like, he was like, "You will comply." And, like, he's screwed up in the head. And, like, they put something in his head, like, code word in his head. And Talbot flips out. Talbot almost kills everyone. Talbot almost kidnapped the little girl who could see the future. Which, there's a little girl who could see the future, by the way. And long story short, they stop him. Next thing. And then the Federation, and they stop him. But in the process... Gemma, Fitz, and Yo-Yo are like these, "We're unstoppable. We're going to prevent this stuff from happening before it happens." And prevent stuff from happening. They try to go and find They got to go and find a way to save Coulson. They find a way to save Coulson without listening to Daisy because there's all this whole turmoil. They find the machine that can create the Destroyer Worlds. Unfortunately, Ruby turned on her mom, went there to put the shit in herself. It didn't work as well as it should have worked. She couldn't control her powers. and she looked like she might be. It looked like, oh, this might be what they were being warned about. Nope. Yo-Yo cuts her fucking throat and blood goes all over the place, and Yo-Yo just straight up kills a little girl. Straight up kills her. And it was nuts. I was like, oh shit. It was crazy. And Yo-Yo straight up kills her. And then it kind of goes on from there where more turmoil. But then that Amanda Waller chick kind of basically goes back up to the Federation and goes, fuck them. I don't care. Kill them all. And then the Federation attacks the lighthouse. And it was a pretty badass episode, too, because it was kind of had this horror vibe to it with these just creatures kind of going through the darkness because they can only see in the darkness. So that was pretty cool. And everyone's just trying to fight them off. And it kind of cool because Deke, up to this point, had been the butt of all the jokes. He was kind of the comedy relief. But in that moment, you were like, oh, yeah, Deke's a survivor. He immediately survived. And he knew what those things were anyways because apparently they had came to the, came to that station a couple times. But came to the lighthouse in the future a couple times. And then all of a sudden, Talbot does something incredible that changes the course of the show for me. He hops into... He wants to do right by Coulson. He wants to make things better. So he hops into the machine with all the gravitonium, pumps it all into himself, and turns into Graviton. Ladies and gentlemen, Marvel did Graviton. Graviton on TV. And it looked pretty damn good, too. Like... It looked really good. They didn't have him do anything completely insane, but he did do some crazy shit. He like took those aliens and just like crumbled them up and just like squished, and it was nasty, but it was awesome. Needless to say, as it turns out, the gravitonium absorbs people, and there are other people inside of the gravitonium, which means there are other voices inside of Talbot's head. Eventually, Talbot goes off the deep end. At first, it seems like he's going to be a hero, but then he becomes a villain very quickly, and they have to do something about him. It's revealed by the Federation that Thanos is going to attack, so there's a tie-in with Infinity War that Thanos is attacking right now. At the moment that that the last 4 episodes are taking place, Thanos is attacking. Well, he's not himself, but his forces are attacking New York and Wakanda. It is happening through the course of these 4 movies. Thanos is straight up attacking. And, like, the Federation straight up says, oh, yeah, he's attacking your planet. There's nothing we can do about it, but, sorry about that. Sorry about that. We were just kind of bluffing to say we were going to help you. We just wanted to get your resources before Thanos comes and blows up every fucking thing. And that's pretty much what they say. And then they meet, ironically, you meet Cassius Senior, the first Cassius. You meet the first Cassius. And Daisy meets the first Cassius because he wants to kidnap Daisy, obviously. Because this is seeing Daisy. They're kind of setting up that the old Cassius seeing Daisy is the thing that led to him being like, "Oh, I want Inhumans," because he saw her. So he sees Daisy. He tries to talk Daisy and like, "Oh, we're gonna work for me." And eventually Daisy did this badass thing where she just breaks out of this mind warping thing and then kills all the guards. So that was pretty badass. Coulson kisses May in a badass way, like these aliens shooting at him, and he has this fucking holographic shield that pops up, and he's blocking the bullets while kissing her at the same time. I was like, that's a badass move, Coulson. Smooth daddy Coulson. Who knew? And then it keeps going. And eventually, Talbot goes to see his daughter, his son, and his wife, and he's scaring the shit out of his son, and he's got his wife pinned to a wall, and he's straight up absorbing people. I don't remember that being a part of Graviton's powers, but it's a scary power because eventually he goes to Crusher Creel, and he's like, "Hey, Creel, look, I can help you out," and he absorbs Crusher Creel, which I was sad about that because I like Creel. Creel's cool, absorbing man. He's kind of cool. He absorbs him. And it was like, whoop, that's the end of that. And I'm like, damn, that sucks. That really, really sucks. And then he goes on this tirade about, I have to help the Avengers. I have to help the Avengers win. And like, well, you're not strong enough. They're not strong enough either. And he's like, oh, well, I can be strong enough if I just rip the Gravitonium. Because Gravitonium is apparently around the core of the Earth. So he's like, if I just rip the Gravitonium out the core of the Earth, I'll be strong enough to defeat Thanos. Which maybe he was strong enough if you really look at it. Because, I mean... who knows? Maybe he was strong enough. But obviously that's a no-no. So they're trying to stop him from doing that. And they're trying to save Coulson at the same time. Eventually it kind of comes down to this crazy situation where they have to choose between saving Coulson or killing him. Shit works out one way. They decide to save Coulson. Coulson, being stubborn, doesn't let himself be saved. In fact, he fakes the audience out by pretending like he took the serum, and then he slipped it into Daisy's gauntlets when he gave it to her. Told Daisy to go whoop Talbot's ass, and Mac takes control of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's the new head of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's the new head of S.H.I.E.L.D. is Mac now, which makes perfect sense because he deserves it. He's the emotional core. He's the core of the team, so it makes sense he'd be the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. And eventually, Daisy tries to talk Talbot out. Didn't work. Talbot did some awesome, like, Superman shit where he flew really high up with Daisy, then crashed really far down. I was like, whoa! So that's where all the budget went. That was pretty badass. And then Daisy, like, before he could absorb Daisy put something in her, put that centipede serum in her neck. She got super strength. She blew off, she straight up shot Talbot into orbit. And he died. Because, as strong as he is, he's got to breathe. He's got to breathe. He can't survive the vacuum of space. And he died, and you just see Talbot floating in outer space. And it's like, man, that was nuts. That was a nuts fight, man. It was a nuts fight. Then, Fitz gets injured and dies. And you think, oh, damn, Fitz dies. This is terrible. Oh, God. Who the hell? No. Fitz dies. This is terrible. And they put, like, you see this thing in remember of, and I'm like, oh, this is so sad, everyone's so sad, and then next thing you know, Coulson's like, this isn't a funeral, and they're like, whoa, so Fitz died. No, Fitz did die, but you know something? If you recall, there's a Fitz who's up in orbit and cryo sleep, waiting for 100 years to come save them, and they were just like, we'll just bring them down. We'll just bring them down. And it was like, wow, it's a fucked up thing, ain't it? It's like, wow, so that's kind of weird. I was like, I see your workaround. I don't know how I feel about it, but Coulson apparently retires, and he only has a few days, maybe a week, to live before he finally dies. So he finally goes to Tahiti's. He finally goes to Tahiti with May on the beach, while the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Mac, and everyone flies off to the sunset. And that is season 5. Took me about 30 minutes to wrap it all up. That's 23 episodes a season. That is season 5. Season 6 is going to be 13 episodes. So hopefully we got more seasons to come. But I give season 5 an 8.5. Not the best season. I think season 4 was better. I think season 2 was better, but this is a solid season. 8.5, good season, solid season, a lot of character arcs, a lot of conflict that'll make these characters better down the line. You might be saying goodbye to Coulson, I don't know. I feel like they kind of left it ambiguous on purpose so that they can bring him back. We shall see. So, thank you for joining me on the Comic Gamer Movie Show. What did you think of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5? Comment below, let me know, and please comment any show you want me to review. I will review it. Thank you for joining me on Comic Game Movie Show, and I'll see you in the next one, ladies and gentlemen. See ya. Goodbye.